Good morning and happy Monday. Yes, another work week has begun. And Nico and I have gone out and done our little walk. And we've come back and now we're just starting to blog before my sock people come. Ooh, the excitement is overwhelming. Anyway, you should really go get your coffee, tea, whatever, sit back and relax, and we'll get going on our start of our topics for the day. I think we've got a few that might be of little or more interest, and some that may provoke some thought. All right, over the weekend, over a simple thing as a parking spot, a gentleman, and I use the term loosely, started calling racial slurs about another person he was fighting with. And why do we have to keep going back to the race card on everything? If we peel back the skin, we are all the same. So why are we doing the racial thing? Some people seem to think, oh, well, it's better, white people are the best. And in the video, he actually calls out white power. Yay. It's idiotic. Yes, someone's different from you. They may have a different religion or different beliefs, but that doesn't mean that you have a right to call them names, to cut them down. If they did that back to you, then you would have a major problem. Racism is not something that I can condone. I think most people can't condone. But because you're white and you have a big power and you have a big truck, that you seem to think that you can say all these nasty things about people. Because of your racial views, I personally think that you're lower than they are. And he was very vocal. It wasn't even a quiet racism. He was very vocal on how well he was doing and that they should all go back to Hindi and, oh, your Hindi beliefs. And he was an ass. I'm sorry, no one has the right to speak that way to anyone. And, he talks about how they should all go back and they should learn to speak English. And I do know that some people of the ethnic or Indian ethnic origin do speak with a heavy accent. But why are we going back and doing this? Now, for those of you who condone this action, it's got to stop. We need to learn how to be one with each other. And I bet you he's probably the one that goes to church on Sunday and, calls himself a Christian because Abbotsford is the Bible Belt. But yet he's downplaying everyone of the Christian or who's not of the Christian origin. If it was, I don't know, a Buddhist, you'd probably say, oh, go back to Buddha. And I wanted to copy the video and put in here, but I don't want to give this person some more fame. I just want him to know that racism is not correct, whether it be in vocal, pictures, whatever. If it was mistakenly done, we could forgive and move on. But this guy, there was no mistake in what he was doing. And we need to ensure that we keep up and saying, no, sorry, that wasn't good. No, things are correct, and we don't believe in that things. But a lot of us just want to be quiet about it, and I'm sick of it. I am sick of constantly being told that I am better because I am white. Well, I'm not better than there may be people of different ethnic origins who are better at things than I am. Doesn't make me any worse. But, of course, these people are wanting to come to Canada and develop themselves here. But is that problematic? Is that a reason for you to cut them down? Personally, I don't think so. We're all the same. We have just been brought up in different beliefs. Now, you may have an argument with one person, but you can argue about what the issue is, not about how their ethnic origins play a part and how this person can't drive because they're of a certain ethnic origin. We all need to stop this, but there's still many people out there who believe that this is the right thing to do and that they have to show their power, and white power is absolutely nothing. It's the same thing, well, maybe more up here than down in the States, where they actually have issues. Up here, I think the Black Lives Matter are trying to find something to stand for. In Canada, we're not as racist against the black. We could be racist against East Indian, Chinese, but the Black Lives Matter doesn't really, or it seems, doesn't really have a strong connection. Now, I believe they get upset if we say all lives matter. Because whites, or the Caucasian race, has always had a controlling part. We went to their countries and we took control, and look where it got us. Now these people come to Canada or the States and they are looking to work hard and to grow, but we just seem to get upset with them. They're different from us only in beliefs, and they have these beliefs the same reason you have your beliefs, because you were taught that way. And you were taught, and people continue to teach this racist idealism. If you actually sit down and discuss things with them, you may find it's the same beliefs. They may speak another language, So what? That doesn't mean you have the right to manipulate them, to come in and say that you're better than they are. You're not better than they are. And this guy has to learn this. And people have to stand up. And because I can't, I wasn't there, but I can speak up on the YouTube about it. And I think we need to grow this anti-racism feeling. People get upset that, these people come in and they take all our jobs. Well, yes, they take all our jobs because we are willing to work they are willing to work. And a lot of us, we just want the money. Oh, just pay us the money and we'll go on strike until we get the money. And that's pretty much what it's all about. And people thinking that they're here taking all our jobs, they're taking the jobs that no one wants to do. And we're all immigrants here anyway. And, the old adage, and I believe it's true, that we have taken the area away from the Indians. Well, I think that is true. So, I don't think the Indians really work on calling Indians matter, and people say, oh, well, they don't do that because we beat them down. And we all have our own beliefs and our own culture. So be tolerant of one another, and let's speak up when we see racism. It may not always be as blatant as this gentleman was, and I use that term loosely because it really wasn't a gentleman. He used profanity and everything to make his point. So let's get out there, let's be kind, or as Ellen says, let's be kind to one another. Let's tolerate each other's beliefs. Something to think about, isn't it? Bye now. Okay, so talks failed with the buses in West Vancouver. So the blue buses are on strike. And, we have to take a look at transit being a basic necessity. Now, people can say, oh, yes, well, I have to get to work, and which is true. I mean, if people don't make money, then they're not going to be able to use the service, and the bus drivers aren't going to get what they want. But on the flip side, if the bus drivers don't have or don't meet the people's needs, people are going to put the pressure on the West Vancouver Council to improve the bus service and to get them going. Now, we seem to think, yes, people who drive the bus and they put up with an awful lot. However, if they go out on strike, we need to ensure that other people are taken care of. You could say, well, I have to get to the hospital for treatment, but everyone says, well, you'll just have to take a cab or walk. Well, a lot of people who are in the situation can't go for walks and they can't afford a cab. So I think There has to be some form of agreement. I believe that, same as teachers, same as nurses, there has to be some way of reaching an agreement without everyone going on strike. Everyone wants all this money that's supposedly out there. And, no one has this money anymore. Well, except, I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. He has all the money in the world. However, people should have the right to work out an agreement. But if an employer just kind of holds it over their head that, oh, well, you're a basic necessity, you need to we can do whatever we want because you have to stay on the job. That I don't agree with. We need to ensure that we get people taken care of. And if negotiations break down, maybe do a little bit of rotating strikes and allowing people to get where they need to go. But just doing a full cutoff of service is not the way to go. People need the services I listed. And there may be a few other. However, employers that hold this over the head and say, oh, well, yes, you have to do what we say because you're an essential service, is garbage. People should have the right to bargain for a better deal. But there's got to be different ways of handling things. Now, reduced service could work, where people would go and, a bus that comes, let's say, for example, just because I know this schedule, the Broadway bus that comes about every 15 minutes, maybe it could go to an hour. But, that wouldn't work, it's all or nothing. They did the last minute deal where they supposedly tried with a mediator, but nothing good came out of it. And I think we need to say that a mediator should have been called in sooner than, the last minute deal. That we should have done more at the beginning than at the end. I think, sorry, that's telling me I got another message. I think we need to ensure that the customers are taken care of. But, that's putting the pressure on this, the city of West Vancouver won't be under pressure. But you see, with reduced service, you could still allow people to move around, but what am I trying to say here? It can put pressure on the council to solve these issues. Now, the Blue Bus wants more benefits, and I think I did a discussion on this Friday, but now that we're in a strike mode, people who need medical attention can't get it. Kids that go to school, which puts an awful lot more cars on the road, which increases admissions, and we have to think, does anyone really win? At least with the transit on the road, West Vancouver people, A, can get around, B, that, less pollution in the air because less vehicles are running around. I still think that there is an answer with transit being more of an essential service. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of labor, and I'm going to have everyone mad at me on this. I'll have labor because they feel they should have the right to strike when an employer isn't doing what they should be doing. I'll have the people in municipal affairs upset with me because they don't. Sorry, I'm holding it today wrong. That they will have people who feel that they should keep working all the way through and they should just hand over the deals that they give them. Well, should we all? It's getting tough to make ends meet right across the board. And bus drivers wanted more benefits. Now, most people nowadays have medical. And I know sometimes the benefits people ask for are a little over the hill. So, what's the answer? Why can't we have the people just keep working at the job while they solve the issues? Or cut back on services but allow the services to continue? Because if you don't, then people are going to be stranded. If people can't get to work, then they're not going to make money. And if they don't make money, it's going to have a ripple effect to where the city isn't going to make any tax revenue from the stores because the stores could close, or there's going to be more cars on the road, which the city doesn't have parking spots. And it just keeps to be a whole big mess. So if the transit system is a basic necessity, then I think we will alleviate a lot of these issues. So, what's the answer? Does anyone have a solution? I think they're just trying to put the pressure on the city, and hopefully this won't last long. Well, West Vancouver has always had their own different transit system. And the other side is, or the miscommunication thought is, well, everyone's rich over there so that they can afford cars and everything and they can get around. I don't think that's the case here. Well, it's something to think about. Cities in the Lower Mainland are really having a crisis for people who need to rent, that there's now no places available. One is something that's been out there for a long time, is that people or not people, sorry, people from foreign countries have bought an awful lot of suites. Like they buy blocks and they hold on to them. Blocks of condos, property all over the place. And, they could be houses and a whole bunch of things. but they're just holding on to them. They're not really releasing them. It doesn't allow people to rent them, which drives me crazy because it's like, wouldn't they make more money if people could rent these units more, rather than just having them sit empty and hoping one day you're going to get so much more out of it? And two, there's this new, well, I guess it's not totally new, everyone knows about it, but Airbnb. And these people have found they can rent their places and make more money than just having one person in there for the whole month. You know how much more money they can get just turning it over all the time? And that people want to utilize it because they want to make more money. But this leaves people who can't afford to buy, sorry, I'm just itchy all, but keep their property. Well, they don't have any property. So they try to go out there and find a place to rent. And landlords, a lot of landlords, for those of them that are renting to people monthly, are turning around and making it, they're exploiting it. They're trying to make more out of it. They're putting people on the spot saying, well, I'm going to charge this. And, so what are we going to do? Airbnb is putting on a whole big presentation, Airbnb and how wonderful it would be. And all these people are saying, oh, yes, when I come to Vancouver, I just love to stay at an Airbnb. Well, I'm sorry. We should limit it. And Vancouver had an idea of that they have to register, that they have to meet certain criteria in order to rent units as B&Bs, so that it would open up areas so that they can rent and we could lessen the burden on the units that's out there. Now, I talked about landlords before, and landlords taking advantage. They are charging astronomical rents for small places that you really wouldn't want to live in. But these people sort of have the control. It's almost like the good old Scrooge days. I expect Bob Marley and Scrooge are out there somewhere really trying to make millions. There are so many hotels that stay empty now because, people want, they can cook their own meals. And so what's the answer? All these people have to go around paying astronomical prices or go and rent B&Bs all the time? I don't think so. I don't think that's really the answer. I think we've got to allow for citizens to be able to rent around the place they work. Now, people in downtown Vancouver right now, $1,000 doesn't get you much anymore. They're $1,500, $1,600 a month. So I think part of the issue, I think Airbnbs could work if the holders of these properties off that from foreign investment be open up for rentals. Then I think we could have an answer to the problem. The problem is these people are away. They don't want to rent. They want to keep their places pristine so that when it comes time to sell the units, they can make all this. Sorry, that was my finger. They can make all this money back. But, also these foreign investment things are putting a tax on our cities anyway. They're taking up what could be, rental units, and they are making them non available for rentals, but they're also not there if something goes wrong, that the police have to come out more than once. So we need to push the foreign investments to either rent or sell these units. And I'm not saying sit down there and try to sell, and because that would be illegal. But there's a number of management companies who can watch over the properties and collect the money and give the money to the foreign investors. And there's nothing wrong with investments. I'm sure Canadians have done it in other countries. So what do we do? Well, this isn't necessarily the answer to all, but I think we have to limit Airbnbs until we come up with a strategy for foreign investment to open up the properties. And, we can't go out and force them to do this, but we can make a case where they can actually make more money while they're holding on to these investments, and they can sell them at the end. Now, like I said, there's a number of management companies who can come around and watch over the properties, and if something happens, then they can deal with it at the time. People can come and pay the security deposit. If something goes wrong, the management companies take care of your property. A lot of times, if you rent it out for a month, people who rent it take care of the lawns. I know that growing up, my parents rented, and they always took care of the lawns. And they can upgrade your property. So I think that's got to be the answer. And, you can sit around and watch the Airbnb ads that shows, all these people and how great it is, but they shouldn't be advertising until our housing shortage has been solved. It's simple. But then people say, well, it's an open market. And that's what we've always prided ourselves on, and we should keep up with this and blah. And yes, it's an open market, and yes, we should keep up with it. However, people need a place to live on a monthly basis. And people buying huge blocks in new condo buildings so that people who are able to buy don't buy. Now, there's an awful lot of people offshore who get in and they sell out a whole building. And we really need to stop that. Yes, they have all this money to do it, but people, we can't afford to do this. We need to ensure that our own population is taken care of first. Sorry, that's my pump. That's something to think about. Okay, anyone is welcome to leave comments on any of my videos. And I've looked back past a couple from this week. My eyes are awake, though I guess you can't see them. There, that's better. But I realized I was a little low blood sugar when I was doing a couple of them, and I'm like, oh yeah. But any of you are allowed to comment. But let's be, how do I say it? Creative in our comments. How can I improve? Rather than making comments that are destructive, that are attacking, that makes you feel, oh, how big and powerful you are. Because I want to learn how to do better, but I don't think I need to tolerate people who are just being mean and nasty and being like bullies on the schoolyard. So please feel free to comment if you offer positive role play. Not role play, positive steps on how I can improve. So, like I said, feel free. And I'll talk with you later. Have a great day out there and happy Monday. I know it's going to be a pain for some of you. Bye now.